Welcome to the Andrew Holland Podcast, where we talk about business, entrepreneurship, and everything in between. Now, here's your host, Andrew Holland.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Andrew Holland Podcast, where we talk about business, entrepreneurship, and everything in between. I'm your host, Andrew Holland. As a business owner and an entrepreneur who started and sold multiple companies, as well as being a CPA that's worked in the corporate world, I started this podcast to be the ultimate support group for entrepreneurs and business owners. Whether you're just starting your journey, you've been navigating the challenging waters of running and owning a business for many years, this podcast is your weekly go to source for inspiration, guidance, and valuable insights. Together, through interviews, monologues, and other relevant formats, we explore the stories of successful entrepreneurs. We dive deep into the practical business strategies that different entrepreneurs use and that you can use in your business. And we discuss everything in between to learn and understand and be successful in the world of business together. Because the point of starting this is that none of us are alone, even during the most challenging times when running a business, or quite frankly, trying to accomplish any professional goal. So please help me to grow our support group by following and liking us on your favorite podcast outlets, subscribing to our YouTube channel, the Andrew Holland Podcast, and of course, following me on Twitter and Threads. My handles are A Holland Podcast. That's A Holland Podcast. And of course, be sure to listen or watch every week and share with your friends, your family, and all your colleagues. Also, it's important to remember that we do talk about financial and legal concepts throughout the varying episodes in the podcast, but don't take anything you hear on this podcast or any other podcast for that matter as the absolute gospel truth. Always make sure that you're consulting the appropriate professionals in your area to get the guidance you need for your specific and unique situations. Thank you so much for joining us every Wednesday here on the podcast. This week, we are going to do something a little bit different, a little bit unique in the sense that, as we often do, we interview guests. We had a podcast a number of episodes ago about AI, and is AI coming for you? I get a lot of questions about what do you think about AI? How good is AI? Where is AI going to go? And of course, by AI, I mean artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, Midjourney. And so, what I wanted to do this week is give an example of where artificial intelligence using ChatGPT is today. And so, the interview that I'm about to conduct is entirely with artificial intelligence. I have created an alter persona, an AI persona named Roy Fenster, who owns a large manufacturing toy company, XYZ Toys. And through this interview, you'll get to see just how good or almost human AI has become. But as importantly, this interview demonstrates some of the incredible concepts that AI can teach us as entrepreneurs and business owners. So remember, this is not a real person, but what I've done is I've asked all of the questions and I've done my best not to alter any of the answers that ChatGPT has provided. Now, in certain circumstances, to make it more conversational, I may or may not add a little bit of human dialogue or touch into it. But I'm going to try to keep it as output driven, meaning not deviate at all from what ChatGPT has said in terms of the concepts. So, without further ado, here is my interview with Roy Fenster, an AI created owner of XYZ Toys Company. Roy, thank you so much for joining us on the Andrew Holland podcast. Now, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your company?
Well, certainly, Andrew. Thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure to share the insights that I've learned being the owner of a manufacturing company. As you said, my name is Roy Fenster, and I'm the proud owner of XIZ Toys, a leading manufacturing company specializing in creating innovative and high quality toys for children of all ages. Our mission really is to inspire imagination and creativity while providing safe and enjoyable play experiences for kids worldwide.
So, Roy, that sounds really awesome. And there's a lot of toy companies out there. Obviously, Mattel just released their first theater production in Barbie, and they've been known for a long time. With all of the competition out there, what would you say sets XYZ Toys apart from your competition?
Absolutely. At XYZ Toys, we differentiate ourselves in several ways. First, we place a strong emphasis on safety and quality. All of our products undergo rigorous testing to meet and exceed industry standards so that parents can be assured and trust the toys that they bring into their homes. Secondly, we have a talented team of designers and engineers who constantly strive to develop unique and captivating toys that engage children's minds and foster learning. Lastly, we are committed to sustainability and eco friendly practices, using responsibly sourced materials and minimizing our environmental impact.
Roy, it's great to hear that you guys prioritize safety and sustainability. Give us some of our listeners may have heard some of your toys, but can you share some of the most popular toys that your company has produced?
Well, of course, over the years, we've had several best selling toys that have captured the hearts of children worldwide. One of our most popular products is Adventure Builders, a construction set that allows kids to build and customize their own imaginative play sets. One of our other hits has been Magic Garden Friends. That's a line of interactive plush toys that teaches kids about nature and friendship through different playful interactions. And of course, one of our most popular, Cosmic Explorers. That's a series of space themed action figures and playsets and has been a hit among aspiring astronauts.
Wow, Roy, it's clear that you guys have a lot of different products, and I think that's awesome. And obviously, you've been successful with those varying lines. Now, in running a toy manufacturing company, just like in running any company, I'm sure there are tons of challenges that you've faced. When you think about all your experiences and all of the hurdles that you've faced, tell us about the single most difficult challenge you've had to deal with and how did you tackle that?
You know, Andrew, one of the most difficult challenges we encountered at XYZ Toys was a product safety issue that arose with one of our early toy releases. And ensuring the safety and well being of children has always been one of our top priorities. And this incident really put that commitment to the test. So, when reports of a potential safety concern surfaced, it was an incredibly concerning and stressful time for our team. We immediately initiated a thorough investigation to understand the root cause of the issue and to assess the extent of any potential risks. Our response to this challenge involved the following steps. Number one, swift action and communication. We took immediate action to halt the production and distribution of the affected toy to prevent any further incidents. Simultaneously, we communicated transparently with our customers and our stakeholders about the situation, expressing our sincere concern and commitment to resolving the issue. The second step we took was collaboration with experts. So we collaborated with independent toy safety experts, third party laboratories to conduct comprehensive safety testing on the toy in question. This allowed us to gain unbiased insights into the toy's safety profile and potential improvements that were needed. Third, the recall and the refund process. In cases like this, the safety and well being of children are paramount. As I've said, that's one of our key focuses. We initiated a product recall to retrieve any of the affected toys from the market. Additionally, we offered full refunds to customers who had purchased the toy. After we'd solved the problem, we took the next step of doing root cause analysis and process improvement. So, through the investigation, we identified the root cause of the safety concern and we promptly implemented corrective actions. We reviewed and strengthened our internal safety protocols to prevent similar issues in the future. And after doing that, we had to focus on the fifth thing that we really wanted to ensure, and that was rebuilding trust. And so the incident challenged our relationship with customers and retailers and partners. And we dedicated significant effort to rebuilding trust through enhanced quality control measures, transparent communication, and ongoing engagement. Once we were there, we did number 6, which was learning and improvement. We viewed this challenge as an opportunity to learn and grow as a company. We implemented more rigorous safety testing procedures. We increased the involvement of a product development team in the safety assessment process. And we really fostered a culture of continuous improvement. And overcoming this difficult challenge was not easy, but it reinforced our commitment to safety and quality. And by addressing the issue promptly with communicating with our stakeholders and making the necessary improvements, we really were able to regain the trust and ensure that our future products consistently met the highest safety standards.
Roy, it's great to hear how you guys tackled that safety challenge. And I think the lessons that you just iterated is number one, acknowledging the problem and not trying to hide it. We've seen that in the past where some companies have had recalls and they've tried to hide it, and it's only made it worse. As they say, the cover up is far worse than the crime itself. And so I love how you guys were proactive. You acknowledged the situation, and then you immediately went to solve the problem, the immediate problem, recall the things that were causing the safety concern, and then really taking action to ensure that it didn't happen again. And throughout the whole process, you were transparent with everybody that was involved. I think taking the swift action and collaborating with experts and prioritizing that customer safety and satisfaction in any business are so vital, are vital steps in overcoming any challenging situation like that. So I really appreciate you being so vulnerable with us and sharing that experience for all of us to learn from. And I think it's a good reminder for all of us as business owners, when you're faced with challenge, some people fall down and they don't get back up. Those who are most successful, they say, okay, here it is. We're not going to ignore it. How do we deal with this problem head on, just like you did? And as you indicated, you ultimately built a stronger trust with your customers and your retailers and your vendors by the way that you dealt with that situation.
Yeah, Andrew, you're welcome for sharing. It was a really challenging experience, but it emphasized the importance of always putting the safety of children first because that's really our business. And I hope that our approach to handling these types of challenges can serve as an example for others in the industry.
On that note, Roy, your approach to addressing challenging issues can be an inspiration. And so when we talk about challenges, it's obvious that, and I've experienced this myself in the many businesses I've been involved with, and I'm sure you have been as you've grown your manufacturing company, XYZ Toys. Doing such a thing comes with a fair share of highs and lows, emotional ups and downs. I often talk about the emotional volatility that entrepreneurs and business owners go through when they're starting a company, growing a company, whether they're trying to sell a company. It's just a constant run of emotions. And often the highs are very high and the lows are very low. As the owner of XYZ Toys, how have you handled the emotional volatility that comes with running your manufacturing company? And what coping strategies have worked best for you?
Well, Andrew, you're absolutely right. Being a small business owner can be emotionally demanding. Throughout the journey of owning and managing XYZ Toys, I've learned a few effective strategies to cope with the emotional volatility, and I want to share those with you. So, number one, I think, is building a support system. Surrounding myself with a supportive network of friends, family, fellow entrepreneurs has been invaluable. Having people who understand the challenges and can offer encouragement and advice has helped me stay grounded during the toughest times. I think the other thing that's important is mindfulness and self care. So, practicing mindfulness techniques and taking time for self care have been crucial in managing stress, whether it's through meditation or exercise or hobbies outside of work. Dedicating time to recharge and focus on my well being helps me maintain a balanced perspective. I think the other thing that has been important in the ups and downs is learning from failures. As an entrepreneur, setbacks and failures are inevitable. You know that, I know that. And instead of dwelling on those failures, I've learned to embrace the failures as learning experiences. Analyzing what went wrong and how I can improve moving forward helps me grow both personally and professionally. Again, setting realistic goals. While it's essential to dream big, I think it's important to set realistic and achievable goals. And doing that has prevented me from feeling overwhelmed. Breaking down larger objects or objectives into smaller, manageable tasks makes progress more tangible and boosts motivation. And then delegating responsibilities. Early on, I used to try to handle everything myself, which led to burnout. Now, I've learned to delegate responsibilities and trust my team to handle various aspects of the business. This not only lightens the load, but it also fosters a sense of collaboration and empowerment among my employees. Another thing that is important or crucial that I found helpful is seeking professional advice. Whenever faced with critical decisions or challenges, seeking advice from mentors or industry experts has been incredibly valuable. Gaining insights from those with more experience helps me make well informed choices. And one of the things that I know you've talked about in the podcast, but celebrating successes. It's essential to celebrate the wins, big or small. Recognizing and appreciating the hard work and achievements of the team reinforces a positive work culture, and it really motivates everyone to keep pushing forward. And then I think maintaining perspective. During tough times, it's easy to get consumed by immediate challenges. And in spite of that, reminding myself of the bigger picture, the purpose and impact of our toys on children's lives helps keep things in perspective and funds my passion for what we do. And as any entrepreneur, when you're dealing with challenges, I think you have to stay adaptable. The business landscape is ever changing, and being adaptable is crucial. Embracing change and being open to new ideas and strategies has allowed me to navigate through uncertain times more effectively. And lastly, I think you hear this from some of the largest entrepreneurs or most successful people taking breaks. Sometimes stepping away from the business for a short period can provide a fresh outlook, whether it's a vacation or a short weekend getaway. Taking breaks helps me return with renewed energy and enthusiasm. So I think that remembering that both successes and challenges are part of the entrepreneurial journey has helped me cope with that emotional volatility that you referenced in your question and keep pushing forward. Um, Helps me keep pushing forward to achieve the mission that we have at XYZ Toys.
Well, Roy, thank you very much for sharing those coping strategies. I myself, as you have used a bunch of those, and some of them are so hard to really practice. It's easy to say some of those things, but sometimes it's harder to practice. Taking breaks when you're so busy can be challenging. But I, just like you reiterated, have found that when you take breaks, you really recharge the battery and you become 2 or 3 times more efficient when you get back because you've allowed your mind and your brain to have some fun, turn off, and recharge. And I'm sure that what you said, many of what you said is gonna resonate with a lot of our listeners who are entrepreneurs or aspiring business owners. So I appreciate you sharing what you have found, works well for you. Now, let's talk about the challenging part of business. And for many entrepreneurs who are looking to start their business or grow their business or kind of take their business to the next level, financing, getting cash can be a real struggle for them. So, talk to me as the owner of XYZ Toys. Share with me some of the insights into how you obtain financing for your manufacturing company.
Absolutely, Andrew. Securing financing for a manufacturing business, especially one focused on kids' toys, required a really thoughtful approach and careful planning. Here are some of the strategies I utilize to maintain the necessary funds for XYZ Toys. So, number one, personal savings. Like many entrepreneurs, I initially invested my personal savings into the business. This demonstrated my commitment and belief in the venture, which can also instill confidence in potential investors or lenders. And then, second, what a lot of business owners have to do, bootstrapping. In the early stages, I adopted a bootstrapping approach, which means running the business using its generated revenue without external funding. This allowed us to grow organically and also to build a solid foundation before seeking additional financing. And then that next step was bank loans. As XYZ Toys began to show promising growth and profitability, I approached local banks for business loans. A solid business plan and financial projections were essential in convincing them of the company's potential to repay the loans, but it was incredibly helpful to get the bank financing. I think seeking angel investors who were passionate about our mission and industry was another successful financing avenue. Angel investors can provide not only capital, but also valuable mentorship and guidance. And similar to that is venture capital. As we expanded and needed substantial funding for scaling operations, venture capital became an option. Pitching our business model, our achievements, and growth potential to venture capital firms helped secure significant investment. Another approach that we talked about was crowdfunding. For some specific product launches and marketing campaigns, we explored crowdfunding platforms. And this allowed us to gauge customer interest, generate some pre orders, and raise funds directly from our target audience. And one that can be specific to varying industries depending where you're at, but government grants and incentives. In certain regions, there are government grants and tax incentives or subsidies available to support local businesses, especially those focused on innovation or sustainability. We explored and took advantage of these opportunities where applicable, and I encourage other businesses to do the same. Partnerships and joint ventures were another way of financing for us. Collaborating with strategic partners or entering into joint ventures can bring not only financial support, but also access to new markets, distribution channels, or expertise. And then reinvesting profits. As the business grew and became more established, we reinvested a portion of our profits back into the company. And this helped fund expansions and research and development and various marketing initiatives. One of the things that we used, particularly as a manufacturing company, was equipment leasing. In the manufacturing business, acquiring expensive machinery can be a considerable upfront cost. And so we opted for equipment leasing arrangements to manage cash flow while still accessing the necessary tools for production. So I think to conclude, it's important to note that every business is unique and the financing approach should align with the company's specific needs, goals, and growth stage. Building strong relationships with potential investors or lenders and demonstrating a clear vision for the future of the company can go a long way in securing financing for your manufacturing business.
Roy, wow. You guys pursued a ton of different financing strategies, and it sounds like you didn't necessarily go through with all of them, but you considered some of them. And it's really evident that a diverse and thoughtful approach to funding has been instrumental in the success and growth of XYZ Toys. And I think aspiring entrepreneurs and listeners that are listening to this draw inspiration from Roy's experiences and use the insights to navigate your own financing challenges. There are so many different opportunities out there for you to finance your business. And one of the things you had talked about, Roy, was personal savings and sometimes family and friends. It can be an important piece of that. People that know you best and trust you as a person are more likely to invest in your idea at the start than strangers. And so I encourage, even though it's not always easy, entrepreneurs who are trying to start something to think about how can you get funds to get yourself to a minimum viable product where you can go to venture capital or angel investors and show them the potential of what you're offering, whether it's a good or service.
Absolutely, Andrew. You're welcome in sharing that. Indeed, financing is a crucial aspect of building and scaling a business. I hope my experience can be helpful to others. Remember, persistence, a solid business plan, and a clear vision are key to attracting the right financing partners. And I wish all the entrepreneurs and your listeners out there the best of luck in doing so.
Thank you so much for your time, Roy. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Just a few more questions for you here. But as a successful business owner in the toy manufacturing industry, you've obviously gathered valuable insights along the way. If you were sitting in front of an aspiring entrepreneur or someone currently running their business, if you could offer one piece of advice to them, what would you tell them?
Well, Andrew, one piece of advice I would offer without hesitation is to stay true to your vision and be passionate about what you do. Building and running a small business is an incredibly challenging journey that requires an unwavering dedication and belief in your mission. And passion really is the driving force behind overcoming obstacles, persevering through the tough times, and continuously pushing for excellence. It fuels your creativity, it inspires your team, and attracts customers who connect with your genuine enthusiasm. When you're genuinely passionate about your business and its purpose, it becomes so much easier to weather the inevitable storms and make the necessary sacrifices. I think it also helps you maintain a long term perspective, as true success often requires time and sustained effort. And I know you've talked about that in this podcast. Patience brings good things to those who are willing to wait for it. I would say, in addition to passion, I would also emphasize the importance of staying agile and adaptable. The business landscape is dynamic and ever changing, so being open to new ideas, embracing innovation, and learning from both successes and failures will be instrumental in your growth and success. And I don't think you can understate that. And lastly, never underestimate the power of building strong relationships. Nurture the connections with your team, your customers, your suppliers, your partners. I think trust and collaboration are the building blocks of a successful venture. Listening to feedback and understanding the needs of those around you will really help you make informed decisions and continuously improve your products and services. I think it's important for all your listeners to remember that entrepreneurship is an incredible journey filled with opportunities for growth and fulfillment. Embrace the challenges with determination, lead with passion, and stay flexible in your approach. And by doing so, you'll be better equipped to navigate the path toward achieving your business goals.
Roy, very, very wise words indeed. Staying passionate about one's vision, being adaptable, and cultivating those strong relations are essential keys to success in any business. I've experienced it. It sounds like you've experienced it. And so I really appreciate you sharing this valuable advice with our audience. And thank you so much for joining us on the Andrew Holland podcast and sharing your experiences as an entrepreneur. And best of luck with XYZ Toys. We're excited to see what other toys you bring to the market.
You're very welcome, Andrew. It's been a pleasure sharing my experiences and insights with your listeners. I sincerely hope that my advice can be beneficial to aspiring entrepreneurs and small business owners out there. If anyone has further questions or wants to connect, feel free to reach out. Best of luck to everybody listening on your entrepreneurial journeys.
Thank you so much, Roy, for being on our podcast and sharing your expertise. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Andrew.
That concludes my interview with Roy Fenster from XYZ Toys, a large toy manufacturing company. Now, as I said at the beginning of the podcast, all of the responses that were given by Roy were generated from AI. What did you think about those responses? What did you think about their humanism? There were just a few areas where I, of course, added my name or I added key phrases I've said in the podcast before. For example, patience brings good things to those who are willing to wait for you. But the foundational elements that Roy talked about, the challenges and how he overcame them, or how they overcame the toy recall issue, and how they deal with the most challenging things, how he deals with the most challenging things as a business entrepreneur. That was all directly generated from ChatGPT, artificial intelligence. For me, my takeaways are: number one, don't underestimate how incredibly helpful this AI can be in generating ideas and giving you advice. And we're just touching the tip of the iceberg of how artificial intelligence is going to impact our society. And just knowing how thoughtful answers can be from this example is almost scary. And if we're just touching the iceberg now, where is it going to be in 3 months, in 6 months, in 12 months? And as I mentioned at the top of this podcast, I had a previous podcast about, is AI coming for you? I don't remember the episode, so you can look for it, but don't ignore artificial intelligence. Use it to your advantage right now. You can certainly fret and fear about what it's going to do, but I can tell you, if you ignore it, it's going to hit you like a train. And we can't really stop where it's going to go. I think there's lots of conversation in the United States and, quite frankly, worldwide, with Sam Altman talking about his fear of it, Elon Musk talking about his fear, if we don't put some regulation or we don't halt it in some way. And so I think those conversations are being had. But for you as a business owner, for you as someone who is involved in business, and when you listen to that podcast, Let me know your thoughts. I would love to hear if you thought, yeah, it's definitely obvious that that was generated from artificial intelligence. Did you get any meaning or value from it? I know I did. Just in preparing this and going through that interview, it seemed as if it was a real person, other than obviously it was I was giving the answers, but in an AI situation or pretending to be Roy Fenster. But the point is AI is come a long way and it's going to go a long way. And I would encourage everybody to check it out and see how it can help you. And I think that interview demonstrated just how realistic it can be in terms of humanizing situations and how much valuable information it can give you. So reach out to me on our website, theandrewhollandpodcast.com. Please share your thoughts. As I said at the top of this podcast, this is meant to be your weekly source of inspiration and guidance for all of us as entrepreneurs. And we only grow and it only becomes more powerful for all of us as more people participate, as you share it with your family and friends. So share my YouTube channel, The Andrew Holland Podcast. Follow me on Twitter, A Holland Podcast, and on Threads, it's the same Twitter handle, A Holland Podcast. And let me know what you thought about this and where you think AI is going. That's all the time that we have for this week's episode. As always, thank you so much for joining us each and every Wednesday to talk about business, entrepreneurship, and everything between. From the Andrew Holland Podcast, have a great rest of your week, and we'll talk again next Wednesday. Thank you for listening to the Andrew Holland Podcast. Be sure to visit our website, theandrewhollandpodcast.com, for additional content on business, entrepreneurship, and everything in between. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Andrew Holland Podcast, to get notifications when new podcasts have been released. And lastly, follow us on Twitter, A Holland Podcast. That's A Holland Podcast, for all the conversations we're having outside the podcast. Thanks again so much for joining us this week. Have a great day, and we'll talk again next week.